Today, friends, we'll be starting with a new topic of IO organizations and peripherals. Now, what are the different major functions that are being performed by IO modules? Now, there may be n number of different functions, but there are certain functions that are performed by IO module. First is control and timing to coordinate the flow of traffic between internal sources and the external sources. Now, what do you understand by internal sources and external sources? It basically consists of the combination of memory and system bus. When the word system bus comes in front of you, you should automatically remember that system bus is a bus which is consisting of address bus, data bus, and control bus. And all of these three are being linked with the memory. CPU communication. Communicate with processor in terms of accept command from processor, exchange data, status reporting, and address recognition. Now, what do you understand by address recognition when the CPU communication is taking place? Now, for example, a recipient E is sending a mail to recipient B. After the mail has been drafted, the recipient A writes the email ID of recipient B and he clicks on the send button and he receives the message invalid email ID. What do you mean by this? It will be a typing error or the recipient B email ID is not existing into the domain of Gmail, Rediff Mail, or Yahoo Mail to whichever mail the recipient A has sent the mail. So such parameters play a very important role in case of your address recognition. Because if your address recognition is proper, the devices can communicate with each other very easily. The second example, what you can take over here is your mobile phone numbers, your personal mobile phone number. If recipient A is dialing the number of recipient B, it is but obvious that only recipient B will receive the call, not everyone into the system. That is because there is something called as address recognition, which takes place. And when the address is recognized, the status reported is positive, else it will be considered as negative. Now, how does this take place? It takes place with the help of device communication, where you communicate with the external devices that are being internally connected with each other with the help of some external communicating tool. Now, data buffering. Now, first of all, let us understand what do you mean by buffering. When you come across the term called buffering is considered to be the temporary storage of data. When the word storage comes, it automatically means it is memory. So buffering is temporarily hold the data transferred between the IO module and the external devices. Now, does buffering play a very important role? Yes, buffering plays a very important role in case of your cyber security, where you get a notification continuously that is being generated by your system to change your password, otherwise your password will expire. So your password into your laptops is considered to be temporary. It is a temporary buffering what the laptop allows you to store the data. Now, what do you understand by error detection? Now, error detection, it will detect the error and it will report errors to the processor. Now, can you give me some example of error detection? Suppose you go to Google and you type in yahoo.com. So the spelling of Yahoo is YAHOO and then .com. But by mistake, you have written YAHO.com. The error which you get, it is the page cannot be displayed, the page not found. Now, the first thing that should come to your mind is page not found. It may be that you have misspelled the name of the URL. The second thing is there may be a problem onto the server where this URL is stored. There may be a power loss. That is the reason such errors are coming place and such errors are being detected by the system. What are the different steps? CPU will check IO module and it will check the status of the devices, whether the devices are ready to read or the devices are ready to write. IO modules will return the status, whether read or write, whether the device is ready or device is not ready. If ready, then the request is generated to the CPU that some sort of data transfer needs to take place. Then IO module gets data from the device and then IO module will transfer data to the CPU. Now, in this diagram, which is considered to be IO module structure diagram, you find data lines, which is the combination of data registers, system control registers. Then you have IO logic, that is input output logic, which are nothing but your address and control lines. Then you have external device interface logic, which is data, status, and control. External device interface logic, which also is directly linked with your IO logic. And together, all of these are being interconnected with the help of an interface to system bus. Now, when you look, the data registers and the system control registers are connected to the IO logic in a bidirectional way. So that if the status is positive, the IO logics can share the data to the external devices, which are also connected to the IO logic in a bidirectional way, and so on. Now, IO module structure. The module connects to the rest of the computer with the help of a bus, which is called as your system bus. Now, when the system bus comes into picture, you should remember that it is the combination of address, data, and the control bus. Data is transferred to and from the module are buffered in one or more registers. Registers are the devices that are used to store the data. One or more status register provide the current status information. What is the current status information and how the data is being processed. A status register may also function as a control register to accept detailed control information from the processor. A logic within the module interacts with the processor via a set of control lines. So module are interacting with the processor with the help of your control lines. The processor uses the control line to issue commands to the IO module. Some of the control signal may be used by the IO module for arbitration and the status check of the signal, whether it is ready or not, or whether it's a write operation or a read operation. And in each IO module has a unique address, a unique set of address if it controls more than one external devices. What are the different techniques that are being used into the input output techniques? There are three predefined techniques which are basically used. One is called as a programmed IO. The second one is considered to be the interrupt driven. And the third technique is considered to be the direct memory access. Now, program IO, interrupt driven, and direct memory access.